Good morning. I don't know, somewhere between Delhi and Beijing. Just Googling time zones. Did you know this was gonna happen? I didn't know this was gonna happen. There I was, minding my own business. I'd had a successful stream. I talked about the Lower Decks crossover episode that was, happening next week. And then I go to the Star Trek Reddit to check comments on a post I saw. And you know what I saw? Well, hey, look, Lower Decks episode releasing today at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm like, 7, 6, 5, 4... Well, it's 5 now. So I go to Paramount Plus. Oh my god, and I haven't even set up the window capture. Hang on. That's Star Trek Strange New World. And what do I see? This! I spent $40 on shipping, the 3 to 5 day shipping to get the Strange New Worlds uniform shipped in, and I bought some badges so I could do a live action thumbnail. I was gonna do this pose, and we were gonna show up, and it was gonna be a picture of me, and I was gonna be like, "Oh look, it's a live action thumbnail."
I mean, if you wanted to do something of that nature, we could have taken.
It's late. This is the stream. It's right now.
I know. If you would have told me that, I would have had you take a picture with the post, and I would have just drawn the uniform on you.
I did tell you this when you drew the art. But, yeah, I mean...
edit your face onto the...
Well, I didn't exactly have a lot of time. We're kind of busy tomorrow. But, yeah, here we are. There was also the trailer for Season 4. We might talk about that a little bit. Yeah, the one current viewer, I'm amazed that you knew this was happening, because I didn't know this was happening. So, Lower Decks. That's not Lower Decks. It was really odd seeing a previously on for an episode I had literally watched a few hours ago. I mean, this was fan service. We knew it was gonna be. I mean, it was a bunch of fan service. It was weird. Like, it took a while to actually get in the mode of we're doing Lower Decks Star Trek Strange New Worlds now. Like, the situation didn't exactly make things bad. I literally found out that this was happening today 50 minutes ago, and this is a 48-minute episode. Yeah, but it was also fan service that, echoing my live stream earlier today, actually had a lot of fun character work. I mean, this will be an interesting review, because, yeah, it was a bunch of fan service. There was a bunch of meta references. It wasn't, like, hollow fan service, but also the entire premise is, like, somewhat hollow fan service. But, every now and then, if we get those old scientists, if we get 5 doctors, if we get something like that, I'm not gonna complain too much. It was also weird. It is weirdly short. I bet that probably has something to do with the animation times, which, Strange New Worlds usually doesn't have to deal with. This isn't so bad. This was going to be a lot of time, and the intro was going to be a lot more time, just because, I guess I know it's 2D, you'd have to draw all the assets anyway.
Depending on how it's animated.
It's animated like this.
Well, like,
yeah.
Very much it depends on how they're animating, because
I know.
If they're doing, like, flash animation, where they basically make those things pop up, if they're doing everything cell by cell, hand by hand, yeah, it's gonna take a long time.
Some of it they are. I know that's why we were gonna get a custom title sequence for Wage Dudge, I think. They were gonna do all the credits in Klingon as a joke, but it literally would have taken, like, an ungodly amount of animation hours.
If this part's animated, this part is actually probably actual, like,
that's a
computer generated.
It's a mix. Even the 2D characters get unflattering frames. I've just realized as well the aspect ratio is different because it's a different show. What was it here? Oh, it was full screen at Lower Decks. Yeah. Let's do a review of the Lower Decks crossover. Did we know about this? I don't think anyone knew about this until, like, I don't know, very recently. But yeah, the beginning, I mean, there were little things at the beginning, like this whole Lower Decks sequence at the beginning was basically to set up the narrative beats throughout the end of the throughout the rest of the episode. Um, that was a bit like I don't know. That was a bit formulaic. Not the word. I don't know what I want to call it. But
Predictable.
it was like, now I know how this episode's gonna go based off of the what you're doing in this first scene. But I will give them credit. They did do a lot of that, but they did a lot of great stuff afterwards that I think all but one really landed. I like this episode. It was good fun, and what I really hope from this episode, right, is that we get this isn't a one-off. There's a lot of things in here I want to see affect Strange New Worlds, and less things, but a few things I want to see affect Lower Decks. We know this gets referenced because the trailer that just dropped, Mariner mentions that Pike stuff we're not supposed to talk about. Del, nope, last I heard they showed it at Comic-Con and then it showed up on Paramount Plus. Yeah, good thing I posted something to the Reddit today, or this would have completely passed me by until, like, Monday, I'm sure. Glad you could make it. Yeah, I loved seeing this animated, that they did this thing. I love it when you get the custom intros. There's a few I want in Star Trek that never happened. Like when the Dominion take Deep Space Nine, I really wanted a custom intro for that. Or even if they just went back to the old one where they weren't Federation ships. I love it when shows do custom intros. In a Mirror Darkly, of course, the best one, where they wanted to do a custom Mirror Universe intro of, like, the timeline in the Mirror Universe. The studio said no, that would cost way too much money, and so the animators went, okay, we'll do it anyways, but we'll do it on our spare time for free. Like, God, I love that. Which is also why it looks the way it does, said with love. But it's so weird. This isn't what it's supposed to look like. Look at this. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the meat of the episode. I mean, I had no problem with live action Mariner and Boimler. I was just like, yep, that's Mariner and Boimler instantly. I'm not like you are necessarily the trailers or the stills, you know, like really staring them down, analyzing it. I bought one of these as well. I bought a Lower Decks uniform because I wasn't sure which live-action thumbnail I was going to do. And like, I was going to change the background. It was going to be a great mix. This actually royally screwed me over and put me down $40 in shipping. I didn't know 5 to 7 day shipping meant 5 to 7 day shipping after a month preparing your package. But I have the Strange New Worlds badges. Those arrived. I always skip the opening, but I'm glad I didn't this time. Heresy. Especially for Enterprise. Although I'll let it slide if it's the last 2 seasons, because, you know, modern music, I don't really like that. I would love to reference it right now, but by God, you don't know how much control it's taken me in my relationship with Alex not to constantly reference the theme tune to Enterprise. I like, it's gonna be, I'm a totally different person when we get caught up to Enterprise, because most of what I'm gonna say is Faith of the Heart. I don't think they're paying attention. But yes, let's go in where my... let's go where our heart will take us. It's been a while. And, yeah. I'll say... I think some concerns I had over the Lower Decks Stranger Worlds crossover that I'd voiced literally all the time except for the last stream. Hell of a time to back out on that. I did see some of them. There were a few times where I think the way Lower Decks does the show and the way Strange New Worlds does the show, they're very different. And they clashed in some ways that felt a little bit off in some scenes. Like, it almost made it harder to believe they're both the Star Trek. They're both kind of that same Starfleet universe. I don't know. But I think it could have been handled a bit differently, but that's like a very minor criticism. Del, I always got a song caught in my head during surgery, and once it was Faith of the Heart. What's the problem? It's an amazing song, Faith of the Heart. It's the best intro.
Heart surgery.
Well, you should have faith. Your time is finally here. I can't. I don't want to spoil things for Alex, but I will. I'll become a changed man when we reach Enterprise. Like, most of my speech will just become references to the Enterprise theme song. Just so you know. And it's also a very important thing in our relationship, like whether you like it or not. I might have to leave you if you don't like it, because I've said before, people who don't like that intro don't deserve love, and I can't really be a hypocrite. I don't make the rules. Well, I do, but I have to follow them anyway. They're not paying attention anymore. See, they don't care. They're mine. They're fine with this arrangement.
I'm no longer paying attention, because once you marry me, there's no getting out of this.
I honestly, I have no idea how long this review is going to go. It was fan service. It was fun. It wasn't just fan service, but a lot of it was fan service, and so fan service is kind of hard to review. I liked a lot of the jokes where there was some... It's kind of like Lower Decks laughing with Star Trek. There was the right amount. That's how I'm going to do it. The right amount of Strange New Worlds poking fun at Lower Decks, or rather like the Lower Decks the people who don't like Lower Decks, what they don't like about, and there was the right amount of the Lower Decks people going back and pointing what people don't like about Strange New Worlds or older Star Treks. Like, have you noticed how slow they talk and how quiet? This was actually the only time that how fast and energetic the Lower Decks crew talked got to me. Like, I was like, I can see it. I think something about putting them next to these crew, it had, I'll always go back to that Riker moment. I might even prepare it for the next screen so you can see it, where it's like knowing when something is serious and getting down. I don't know, Lower Decks does something that lets them skirt some of these, like, rules and professionalism and things. They don't break them. They skirt them a lot. And when you put it in Strange New Worlds, it can feel a bit off. Kind of like the Pike reaction of rolling their eyes. But by and large, I do think it was handled very well. And I like that we did get tie-ins, not references, but actual proper tie-ins to things in both Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. I mean, Leon, references... I went to the past, and it went really bad for me. Like, she tells Boimler not to get connected to anyone. We get stuff like that, and genuinely, I think if they keep some of the stuff that happened in this crossover, which I imagine they have to. I mean, most of it affected the Strange New Worlds crew, and Strange New Worlds is the show that was leading this. They could have vetoed any of this stuff. Then it's going to be very solid. Like, suddenly this fun little fan servicey crossover episode is actually a pivotal moment for several characters in Strange New World. It's basically the Day of the Doctor, the joke I made earlier, Doctor Who's 50th anniversary, where it was like fun fan service. You get the 10th and 11th Doctors together. They do some fun things. But also, you fundamentally change the story from that moment onward, and there is a very clear before Day of the Doctor and after Day of the Doctor. I hope it becomes analogous to that, although not as severely, if you're familiar with Doctor Who. But I can also get by some of the things like this. Look, I'm in the business too. I know what it's like when people pause your face on random frames. Where they're in the past, that's cool. Like, if I was on the Enterprise, I might be a little more fearful about, the butterfly effects and will I actually be able to get home? What happens if I'm stuck here? But also, I'd have this, like riding the saddle. And even the Stranger Worlds crew get it, like if they were on Archer's ship, which, well done, bringing that in. I thought for a moment they were going to actually, like, bring in the NX. I don't know where you would have gotten that money from, but... Wait, no, borrow it from Picard. Picard has the NX. But it was fun, Yeah, I understand why you didn't. There's enough going on in this episode. God, I don't remember what my original point was, but let's start with Ahura. Like, what Ahura gets out of this time travel thing is she has knowledge of what she's. Oh, sorry, I've remembered. But you might be able to forgive the Lower Decks crew being a little less. Oh my God! Like, what if I destroy the future? What if I never get home? Because from their point of view, like, time traveling to the past and getting home is a fairly frequent occurrence, and destroying the history and then fixing it is also a fairly frequent occurrence, more or less. It's not the most frequent thing in the world, but it happened. Like, I can kind of understand that. But Ahura, I think maybe she might change the least out of anyone who'd actually have some sort of effect. Like, Mbanga's not going to change because of this episode. But, she now knows that she's going to become some sort of legend in her field. She doesn't know the details, but, she knows she's going to become Ahura, essentially. Someone some people look up to. And she's a year younger than me. That a lot of things change about her. That's gonna put more on her already of like the stress she has with her position, of if she can do it or not. I mean, it's adding. Her problem already was like with expectation, what people expect of her because of her position. Now there's some sort of temporal expectation where the history depends on her becoming some sort of infallible, capable, legendary translator, which she does do. In like it wouldn't affect her character too much because it's kind of more of the same, more of what she was already going on. But it would be nice to maybe see this come back, or see it affect her character in some way. I really like using this portal thing as a bridge kind of between the animated and live action worlds as well. It's a simple, nice little design, but it's great. The boots as well. I did not buy boots. I did not buy pants, but you can buy this uniform now. Literally the day I went and bought my Strange New Worlds uniform, you can now buy this uniform. And badge. Those are probably going to arrive next week, and I'm going to be like, man, $40 shipping. I could use that for groceries. The one thing kind of joke that didn't work for me, can I even get that frame? Yes, here we go. Is, come on. Why don't Paramount have a 5-second thing? Is this one. I understand the joke. They're admitting it, finally. That Stranger Worlds Spock is very different from TOS Spock. And it's a meta joke. It's that the fans are like, hang on, that's not Spock. Something is seriously wrong. And the show is saying, well, it's not seriously wrong. This is just how Spock is in this time. Get over it, is kind of the joke. Which might work more if Strange New Worlds had set up Spock to be like this. I feel like if Shax is Worf dialed up to 11, I feel like Spock in this episode was Strange New Worlds Spock dialed up to 11. I get the justification they're doing with like the stuff that's going on with Chapel. And I recognize that started like 2 episodes ago. And last episode, we had all of like a minute on that. So they haven't really had any time. Like, maybe Spock is like this moving after this episode. I don't think why. I'll get into that in a sec. But, well, then have the stuff with Chapel happen earlier in the season. Like, maybe that's a problem with the lower number of seasons. I'd love them to get something more like around 13 to 15-ish episodes. Kind of like about 10, 15 years ago we were getting. I kind of keep waiting for Alex to glance over at this frame as well. There we go.
No.
Yeah. But it kind of threw me off. It's like, well, if the joke is that Spock is just like this in Stranger Worlds and that's okay, but Spock isn't actually like this. It made me get more to what they're actively trying to go against and be like, oh, you're ruining Spock, which is a exaggeration, because even I can see this is a weird episode. This isn't a pattern of behavior. This is just, this would be like the Threshold. We don't talk about Threshold. But is the Chapel stuff after this? I'm gonna combine Chapel with this. Based off the stuff we've done with Chapel, I think Spock's maybe gonna revert more towards what he was before in Stranger Worlds, or even what he's like in TOS, because we know, thanks to the season 1 finale, that Leonard Nimoy, that Ethan Peck can do that, and that the writers can write that. They are just choosing not to. And this is probably my favorite part of the episode. I'm like, this has to carry on in Strange New Worlds. You can't just ignore that. This is the justification for Chapel becoming the woman she is in TOS. I've said before that I think having Chapel was a mistake in Stranger Worlds because you've made her such a capable woman. You've made her such a... I mean, she's just a fully capable, independent woman who don't need no man. And in 10 years from now, she's going to become a skilled professional, yes, but who's kind of defined by their feelings for Spock that they know they can never attain. Even though... even though now from Stranger Worlds, we know that it actually is obtainable. It's happened. But now, suddenly, some guy from the future has plopped down and said, you're affecting Spock, and, well, she knew she's affecting Spock, and kind of bringing out his emotions, kind of, Spock's changing who he is because of his feelings for her, and going, why is Spock wrong? He's fundamentally not like this. And in the future, he's not like this at all. There is absolutely none of your effect on the man you love in the Spock that history knows. Like, that is the entirely... In Discovery, when Pike picks up the time crystal and he sees himself in that wheelchair from the menagerie, and the moment of, oh... Like, suddenly that look I always loved on his face from the menagerie of some sort of weird, like, knowing acceptance completely recontextualize that. You're going, oh, he knew. That suddenly, and anytime Chapel says, like, I know this is gonna never happen, I know I can never happen, it's because this. It's because one day Boimler came back from the future and without knowing it said, you will never be a part of Spock's life. Bye. Like, I mean, the relationship pretty much has to end here. And I think that's fascinating to explore. I can't think of anything exploring that. Like, an idea to explore for a show as well, like, you're in love, but someone has come back and told you you will never be with that guy. I mean, in part, probably because Boimler came back in time and said this. Even Spock comes to the conclusion that in the future, he is far more logical. And it stands to reason that to protect the timeline, he might have to become more logical. He might use that either actively as a choice to stop pursuing his emotions, or passively, just knowing that in the future, his emotions are much less at the surface. Like, as much as he says, I can't do anything but follow along the course I've decided right now. Like, if eventually I become less emotional, then at some point I'm going to change my mind. But it might have a passive effect on him. And yeah, David C., glad you could make it, like, the rather creative way to fix Spock going forward. I mean, yeah, it's almost like... I said the only way I can reconcile it was a mind wipe. Essentially, it was just a dream ending. I don't know, time-traveling Boimler wasn't something I had considered. And I'll say, very importantly, I've always said this before. Well, first off, this wasn't planned. They didn't start Strange New Worlds and go, what if one day we have Boimler come back in time and, like, fundamentally alter our character's spot? It wasn't planned. But even if it was, one of the things I've always said. If you have some sort of twist ending or anything that's going to recontextualize what happened before, planned or not, you still need it to be enjoyable the first time. And if it's not, first off, your fix is going to make it very hard to go, I get it, and now I'm enjoying it the second time. It might, but you'll always kind of remember the first time it wasn't good. But also, people will, like, bounce off if it's not good the first time. So this doesn't make, like, oh, it was all right all along. But I think this could seriously help my problems with Spock. First off, by very least giving me some headcanon reason. Like, oh, there was time-traveling Boimler. I mean, yeah, that's the most unexpected fundamental change you could have, pretty much. But hopefully Stranger Worlds even starts taking him in a slightly different direction. They'll never just go, okay, we're doing Leonard Nimoy Spock again. I mean, I can't see them doing that. But they can start us with a Spock who's going towards that direction, in a way that somehow feels a lot more natural than how do we get from Spock in tears in a shuttle pod talking to his sister, swearing to open up with his emotions, to, yes, irritation, one of your human emotions. David C., at first I thought it was a silly episode idea, but it's a great that they use it to evolve Spock's personality. Yes, and that's the key point. So I said this before with Prodigy, when Rock Talk spent all that time in like the Prodigy that was experienced slow time, all on their own for like a year or so, that needed to affect her, and it never did, other than like she knows more because she spent all that time studying, which diminished the episode. If we never come back to any of this episode's going to be greatly diminished. But with Strange New Worlds being the character-driven story that it is, I mean, you don't just ignore this. Like, I don't know. Like, Strange New Worlds was the one who said we're going to do this. This wasn't a case of First Contact calling up Ira and going, hey, so yeah, we're going to destroy the Defiant in our movie to get Worf in the movie. You know, that wasn't a case of that. This was a case of Strange New Worlds going, what if Boimler tells Chapel? Or Mike McMahon suggesting it, and they went, yes, you know, let's roll with that. But, because I know they did work with Mike McMahon to kind of get some of the humor and help keep the Lower Decks characters right. But yeah, I like that was sort of the Day of the Doctor, where it's fan service. It was a bunch of kind of dumb, empty fan service, which is a very harsh way of describing it. But also, yes, like, we have these huge character moments. They're gonna, I mean, when it comes to Chapel and Spock, I'm hoping it is. You've got before Day of the Doctor and after Day of the Doctor. We've got before those old scientists and after those old scientists. Yeah, let's see, where did we leave off everyone? Around here? And I don't point out too often, but the actress who does Nurse Chapel, I don't know who any of them are, because the credits don't say so-and-so as Nurse Chapel. I don't know why, because they have the actors' names, but if they don't do that, I never remember the actor's name. She acted this scene phenomenally, like, trying not to break down, and I mean, imagine that direction, like, how do you even act like some time traveler from the future is essentially telling you that the relationship you've just started with a man you love is never going to work out, and you're just clearly not going to be a part of his life in the future? Boimler knew about Spock, he didn't know about Chapel and Spock, kind of thing. David C., I was kind of hoping Mariner was going to tell her that she should change up her hairstyle as a nod to the way she looked in TOS. That'd be fun. I can't put her hairstyle to mind. It's longer. Is it some kind of ponytail? I don't remember. That would have been fun. I wish there'd been some addressing of the fact that Uhura was actually more work-focused, like Boimler, than how Mariner was describing her. I don't think Uhura was ever like how Mariner was describing her. It's hard to say in TOS because we never really see these characters outside of work. But, I mean, there's a bit of recreation time. Uhura can sing. You know, Uhura will have fun with the crew. It's just most of TOS is spent at the duty stations. Particularly Uhura, you know, who's always at her duty station. But I mean, there was kind of a bit of like, you know, I brought expectations of who you were all going to be from the future, and that was unfair. It might have been nice to address that more specifically with Uhura. I'm surprised, though. I don't think there was a single reference to the fact that this is not what Kirk's Enterprise looked like, that it's a redesign of the set. I thought for a moment, if I'm really stretching, there's the one where Boimler is talking to M'Benga, and he goes, is that a Model 121 tricorder? And M'Benga goes, 120. My mind wants to go, that's because it's a redesign for the prequel, and the 121 is the original design that, like, Dr. McCoy uses. Which is probably, I mean, knowing the kind of things Mike McMahon does, I could see that genuinely being the reason. But I'm amazed. I think it's because they really want to push that it always looked like this bridge, and to be civil, we're ignoring that fact. But that assumption. But yeah, I was amazed there was not a single reference to the fact that this is a new, shiny, modern reboot, essentially. Amazed. They did reference the fact that, by God, is it hard to reference this ship. The original Enterprise, well, technically the second. Technically, if you want to count the Columbia class, which is now canonical, as an Enterprise, or maybe they just refitted it in the museum, it would be the third, but technically it's the same ship. No, but I am right. The Cage Enterprise was before this, and looked different, and different to the TOS one. So it's the third or fourth Enterprise. And I love the bit in Deep Space Nine where the trials and tribulations, the temporal investigation people are going, Captain, there have been 5 starships named Enterprise. And the other guy turns to him and says, 6. And then me here 20 years later is like, 7, actually. I don't know now. I've lost count. But yeah, that was a joke we didn't have. Yeah, going on. It might have been interesting to see more of the Stranger Worlds crew reacting to the fact that, like, they're celebrities in the future. You might kind of... I mean, they're captains of the flagship. They've already done some pretty important stuff. I guess you can't talk about Control. I'm sure they've done some important stuff, but kind of that realization of someone's coming here like, oh my god, it's Captain Pike. And you had moments where it's appropriate, like, really? Someone dressed as me for Halloween? Really? The birthday's a holiday in the future? And that's another one. Just a great little moment. Like, we got development with Captain Pike and his father, and, like, a really nice scene where even the lower deckers, like, calmed down a bit and went, no, Pike's talking about his dead father that he never reconciled with. We're gonna be calm now. Like, we didn't need that scene in the dumb little crossover. But you even had that nice bit. You had a nice bit, which, again, I hope will affect Pike. It is the equivalent of Picard sitting down in All Good Things to join the poker table. It's Pike going, I've only got a limited amount of time here. I need to spend it with my crew while I can. So I really hope we see Pike. I mean, he was hardly a Picard. He has, like, cooking dinners in his cabin in, like, every two times an episode.
Picard. It was Picardly.
But it'd be, you know, I'd hope I can see some of that. Maybe on shore leave, like, we see him do some stuff with the crew. Maybe even in, like, civilian clothes. Like,
I'm unappreciated.
Captain's log. Enterprise is in space dock for repairs. I've decided to go to the movies with Dr. M'Benga. I don't know. Surprised I never asked where Dr. Boyce was from the Cage. Look, it was only 48 minutes. Animating that title sequence took a long time. But yeah. It really was. There was so much surprising good in this episode that you wouldn't, like, just... Even that didn't have anything to do with the tricorder, sorry, I'm reading. The crossover, the whole Pike with Dad thing. It was just there, because it was good. I don't know. I guess he's calculating ways to get to the future. Anything in here? Chapel's seeming to have gotten over that bombshell Boimler just dropped on her, I think. Yeah, going on. It was kind of nice that they nerded out over the new characters. I mean, I still don't know why you'd nerd out over Ortega's. Strange New Worlds doesn't bother to do anything with him, but you know, it wasn't all just the OG cast. Nothing over Leon, though, which I guess all of her stuff have been private. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the Turbolift scene. Never mind, Chapel hasn't received a bombshell yet. Going on. Still, I was worried it was going to be 2 Lower Decks and not enough Stranger Worlds, but I was pleasantly surprised. Boimler and Spock was the episode. That was the bit I didn't like, was Spock was way more emotional than Stranger Worlds has set him up to be. That's the one thing I think is going to be entirely in this episode. It's like, why is Spock that... Like, other than the time he actually was human for that episode, we've never seen him go out of his way to try and, like, laugh and smile, and it was very forced. It wasn't really a natural laugh. It's like, I don't know. That was the one bit that didn't do it. I know they had great fun on the set. Jack Quaid and Ethan Peck had a real bromance going on. So, I mean, I see why people would latch to that, because a lot of people love Ethan Peck Spock. I'm always biased against it, but that one was, yeah. And look, we had pretty close to the TOS Orion ship. I own one of those. And yeah, I liked that we even fit in some stuff about the Orion prejudice, some stuff about like history being rewritten. What is history? How do we remember it? Like, and I know in season 4 it looks like Lower Decks is going to Orion, so we should get some more of that with Tindy. It felt a little weird for Boimler to basically be racist about Orions in the past, because that's something I don't think we've ever seen from him in Lower Decks. I mean, if he's living in a world where there's prejudice against Orion, it's not like he can never slip up. It did feel a bit like the episode needed that, so we have it. But other than that, like, just Pike's promise of, like, and as far as history is concerned, Orion's discovered the portal. And then you kind of see Boimler and Mariner shift a little bit, because they go, oh, that doesn't happen. Starfleet of, this era, presumably Pike does say, hey, we went there and Orion's discovered this portal. Starfleet presumably went, well, the Enterprise was there, and if we just don't mention the Orions, it made this guy so happy. He's like, finally, like, that's all I've ever wanted in life, is just that recognition, and we're like, oh, we're not gonna get it. Like, the episode never addresses it, but it's a great little show don't tell. It's just something to mull over and think about that's very unique because of this, like, 120-year gap we've got. David C., thank you for, again, the $20, almost covering the shipping cost getting the uniform for the thumbnail. This was an unexpected treat today, both this surprise crossovers episode and your follow-up review. Yes, thank you. It's a bit of a shame some people probably miss it because literally it was so short notice. You would have had to see my announcement and within 5 minutes started the episode, but I was busy today. I'm glad to see you two here. There are actually more people here now than were here for the original review at the actually scheduled time. Dell, I was okay with Spock being that emotional as part of the crossover. I also think it's a natural progression from last episode. I just think they're gonna have to take steps back after this episode. So if they wanted to do that, say Spock was entering a relationship, so exploring his emotions, okay, I think they needed more time to set it up and actually show that before the crossover, because now it just kind of felt like they did it because the crossover needed to do it. And the whole point was the joke, hey, Spock is different, get over it. But if Spock's not actually like that, the joke doesn't really land for me. I'm like, look at me, I'm like this guy. Just like, come on. Yeah, and even Tendy's assistants at the start, like, hey, no, Orion's discovered the portal. And they were like, come on, Tendy. And then they realized, actually, it's because of prejudice against Orions. That, like, yes, Tendy was wrong, but she shouldn't have been wrong, is kind of the point. And when they go back, they're like, oh yeah, totally, Orions did it. And I hope in the future, Boimler and Mariner go, and they're like, yeah, your records are wrong. We were there. Well, I guess we know from the trailer they're not supposed to talk about it, but they're like, we were there. Orions actually did discover the portal. Did it feel cartoony, maybe? Spock's emotions? No. It just felt out of place for the Stranger Worlds character. Like, justified, but it came up because the episode needed him to be so emotional, and I think they leaned too hard into it. It's just a bit of an overstated in my mind. Because look, even if Spock gives a half smile, that's like Shields Up Red Alert. I remember when I watched Sarek, the TNG episode, you know, when they're at the opera and you turn and you see a tear rolling down his eye, like me in the audience, I went, holy shit, something is seriously wrong. And like, the most tiny thing. You didn't have to go overboard. And yes, Spock, in his later days, that Boimler would know, did have a human side. You know, he did joke around. Maybe history doesn't capture that as much. A slightly emotional Spock would have fit the Spock during, like, reunification, the Spock during late TNG, that kind of Spock. But I could also understand that's just not the Spock history recalls, you know. For most of the big stuff Spock did, he was the cold, emotionless kind of Vulcan type. David C., it's amazing that they've now established that Spock's future personality is a direct result of Boimler. I wouldn't go that far, but Boimler definitely helped him. So are we saying that Spock was always supposed to be super emotional and more of a human than a Vulcan, but Boimler's intervention completely changed the course of history? That's one of those fun theories that I'll laugh at, I'll have a good chuckle, I'll not refute, but I'll never believe. Have you heard the one where the Q are aware of extra-dimensional beings who watch their universe, the Star Trek universe, and basically that's us, by the way, and the Q intentionally meddle with reality to make it as interesting as possible so their universe does not get canceled, and that explains every continuity error in Star Trek, which is a lovely little theory that I just love putting it together. Like, yeah, alright, the Q are aware of us watching Star Trek, so they're responsible for the continuity errors, so it's good television. Oh, that was a lot of good jokes because it's Lower Decks. Just Pike's 5 to beam up. It's like, yep, we failed. Look at Leon's face. This is what the transporter guy's thinking. Like, 5, Pike, seriously. And, you know, there are bits, like, it bothered me how, I mean, for lack of a better word, Lower Decks they were in this kind of meeting. But we also do have as a well-established character trait that Mariner does not do good with meetings. I mean, it's also been a little bit since I've seen Lower Decks. Just sometimes it didn't... I don't know. It didn't gel with me when you take the Lower Decks out of the situation. I saw a comment just before I found out about the episode from someone who said they hope Stranger World bleeps all of Mariner's swears. And so I was paying attention. Like, she didn't swear. None of them swear as much as they do with Lower Decks. They swear as much as you think they do in Lower Decks. I don't know how Lower Decks pulls that off. Because really, if you pay attention, they swear a lot in Lower Decks. You just don't notice. Probably because it's bleeped. But that just would have been too much in Stranger Worlds to be like, whoa, was that a censor bleep? I don't know, it just doesn't seem to work in live action as much. Una's plotline. I thought this was something about Boimler had prejudice against augments, being a 24th century boy. No, sorry, as he pointed out, man. But I like the direction they did take. I wasn't sure what they do with, like, I thought they were going to do the opposite, basically. Una was going to find out that there was still prejudice against augments in 120 years, and how that would affect her, and be like, oh, well, it's more the same. You might tie it into the Orion stuff that they were going with. But I like the other direction they took it, where no, she's the poster child. BS, she's the only one, because clearly Picard is the poster child of that era. Like, they literally Mariner mentioned he's the poster child, but they can have several. It makes sense they have several. But, I mean, I literally can't imagine what that would be like for Una. She's lived with the prejudice her entire life, got a court case out on a technicality. That being like, hey, Starfleet is one day going to accept you to the point where you are literally the poster, the join, you can do it poster, what's the Uncle Sam of Starfleet, and you're the inspiration for countless generations of officers to come and join Starfleet. Yeah, that's gotta come back. Like, that's got to get mentioned at least at some point in Stranger New Worlds. I'm so disconnected from what that would possibly be like. That'd be going back to the 1960s and showing like Martin Luther King Jr. a picture of Obama. Like, I don't even know, but it's a fascinating thing to explore. I want to come back to these things. It's amazing how much this episode, like, fundamentally alters so many of the people in Stranger New Worlds. That doesn't mean it comes up all the time. I mean, we do only have 10 episodes. We need more. Come on. Even the actors want more. But, like, we should see changes in their behavior, or there should be relevant circumstance where this comes up. Like, if Una ever gets challenged about genetic engineering again, she should be like, one day I'm going to be the poster child for Starfleet. One day, as far as she's concerned, there's no prejudice against the genetically engineered, or at least Illyrians. It's unimaginable. Like, I can't even imagine what that would be like. David C., I was hoping there was going to be some amazing thing about Una, but a recruitment poster, not so exciting. For her, are you kidding? That's hey, we're going to have a black president in 50 years during the Civil Rights Movement. That's like the biggest thing that could possibly happen to an Illyrian. Like, I don't even think that's an understatement. I'll say it maybe felt, I don't like that. No, I mean, it's unfathomably huge for her. I can't even, I keep saying it, but I can't even comprehend how huge that must be for her. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I suppose it's not massive, but for what it stands for, yeah. Yeah, that's right, David C. Did you fall asleep for the big speech I just gave? Yeah. You forgot about that. Pay more attention. Come on. You pay me, like, every time. You clearly like these streams. Yeah. Uhura, I think we talked about Uhura. And it still exists. God, I want someone to deal with that. I want some proper 24th, 25th century. Let's bring this down. Like that the like post Deep Space Nine to Picard era is very clearly the kind of time where the prejudices are failing, and you're like, okay, it's just a matter of time. But I really want that to come to a head. I like how Strange New Worlds can tell certain stories, like, in the midst of it, where it's very much not going away anytime soon. It's a battle, it's a fight to get rid of it that's going to take centuries. Well, century and a half. But I also want the one where we finally just kill it. It'd be like, go away. This genetic engineering prejudice is stupid. It's literally just a slippery slope logical fallacy. The eugenics wars was like 400 years ago at this point. It's kind of like, to me, looking at World War II and saying, Germans, we get rid of them. They're just bad for society, clearly. It's like, well, no, that's ludicrous. Like, what? That's not the lesson you take out of World War II. That's the opposite of the lesson you take out of World War II. That's basically what the genetic engineering prejudice is. No, I'm going to keep going on this. That's literally what it is. The genetic engineering prejudice is looking at Khan and those like him, the genetically engineered, who said, we're genetically engineered. That makes us better than you, so we're going to rule the world. And they didn't all do some sort of genocide thing. Like we've said, Khan before, apparently, other than being totalitarian, his country or whatever was a very nice place to live. But still, he did, do all the wars, and however many, 60 million? I don't remember how many people died in the eugenics wars. But that's literally what they did. They turned around and said, hey, we're not genetically engineered. That makes us better than you, so we're gonna persecute you. That'd be the same as looking at the two world wars and saying, hey, Germany kind of did both of those. Let's not let the Germans do anything anymore. Like, and when you start looking at it in any way, it's such a ridiculous assertion. Which is what a prejudice should be, so, I guess they've got that going for them. Yeah, this was a fun setup, kind of bringing the future drink, and then, well, there's payoff for this later on. But I don't think I have too much to say. I did feel a bit like, I guess Ortega's just happens, to have seen these symbols. Again, Stranger Worlds very much does this thing where the plot's not particularly important, so it doesn't particularly work on the plot, which is usually fine, but it bothers me that no one pointed out, they were at the end like, it's not because you needed to take a 5-minute break. The only reason she discovered this is because she tried to work through her break. Yes, because she was in the break room, someone happened to see the scripts. But, the only reason she found out why is because she's a workaholic. If I was Ahura, I'd never take a break again. I'm also with Ahura. I don't take breaks at work. When I did McDonald's, I was always the person who was like...
Eagle Moss.
Okay, I do take a break to pop onto master replicas so I can order the starships. That's my 10-minute break once every week or two. But, yeah, I was always the person who's like, see my 50 minutes of break this shift? Can I just not take those and go home 50 minutes early? And now that I'm a salaried employee, that's exactly what I do. It's great. Like, who needs breaks? I'd rather do the work and go home early. Alright. But I wish... actually, no, I've changed my mind. It's Mariner. I was gonna say I wish Mariner gave a different excuse. Like, yeah, the rules have loads of different, ways to let you slack off. That's totally a Mariner explanation. That's also totally not the reason. Because Mariner actually is a good Starfleet officer. I think I've said this before. Mariner's the kind of person who knows very much... They know the rules. And they know very much when the rules are dumb and getting in the way, but they also very much know when a good rule is actually there, and that they know to follow the good rules. I've said this before. I just said it. I used to work at a McDonald's, like doing fast food stuff, and so there's loads of health rules. There's loads of procedural rules, just like how you're supposed to run the restaurant. We worked at a very slow McDonald's. It wasn't busy like other than maybe the lunch rushes, and so there was a lot of chill time, and there was like all the procedural rules of like how to run a McDonald's. When do you close down? When do you put things up? Yeah, those were dumb. I never did any of that. Like, I was usually kitchen with men. I got to control a lot of that. Like when that happened, I never did that. Even what like the head managers would say, I'd be like, "That's dumb. I'm not gonna do that." But like those health code rules, yeah, those are there for a reason. I follow those to the letter because those are the actual important rules. When do I take the second set of trays back? Like, if corporate says take it back at 8 p.m. because that's what a busy McDonald's needs, no, I'm going to take it back at 4 because we're literally never going to use them for the next, like, 4 hours. That's a dumb rule. And I very much like, that's what Mariner is she's like, no, that's a dumb rule. Like, Mariner very much knows that the, like, mandated 10-minute lunch break, if there's a red alert, which probably means the lunch break isn't mandated, she's gonna work through it if it's actually important. But she's like, nah, this isn't important. Right now I want to hang out with Uhura, and this isn't particularly important, so I'm gonna hang out with Uhura. Yeah. Going through this again, I don't think there's anything in this scene. It did seem a bit weird when Spock was like, it's a coin flip if it works. And then it didn't work, and they were like, we're doomed. We're never getting home. I don't know, maybe try again. Like, if you do this 4 times, one of them's probably going to work. There's like a 75% chance that... Right? There's a 70... They tried it 4 times. 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5. That's the odds of it failing every time, plus 1 minus... There's like a 93% chance that it'll work if you do it 4 times. Didn't seem that bad. But whatever. Maybe it was like a 50% chance this method worked. But if it didn't work, it was never going to work. Yeah, we got a nice little bit about meeting your heroes. I mean, I think this episode was crammed. It wasn't rushed, but it didn't have enough time to explore every single idea fully, which is all right. I think they seem to pick the right ones. But I don't know. We got Carol Kane for this episode. We can add an extra 2 minutes to her screen time count. She did get a lot last episode, yes, but I hope we see more of her. She's kind of like a Guinan character if you think about it. But if Guinan was a art criminal, I could see that. Let's see. Yeah, here I love this scene with Pike. Like, it's probably never going to come up again. It doesn't really affect anything. But yeah, I want one thing. Like, in one future episode, he's just on shore leave. Like, he's interacting with the crew off the ship. Or, we've got that arc. I've just remembered. We got the arc where his, like, lady friend left him. Because he's too distant, he doesn't... When people get too close, he pushes them back. And his knowledge of the future is a part of that. I forgot Pike was in the middle of the arc. This could be something they use to start pivoting him. Like, now Pike is going to be less like that. He might even try and reach out to that captain again. He might, like... Yeah, actually, no, I bet... I forgot about that little arc. I bet this is a part of this arc Captain's going through. And I really look forward to seeing this affect him. And I'm trying to remember what I wanted. Like, maybe there's some effect on how the crew treats Tindy. Because she does get some prejudice. From Mariner has been, I think, the main source. of treating her differently because she's an Orion. When they did the movie, I think the first movie, she was in like the sexy Orion pirate outfit because she's an Orion, and that came to a head. I think there was more I wanted, but at the time I'm not remembering it. But I remember thinking something should go back and affect Lower Decks, just not as much, which is fine. I mean, this is a Strange New Worlds episode. Like, actually, that's the way it should be. It'd be weird if you had to go watch this Strange New Worlds episode to follow the arcs the Lower Deckers are going on. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that Strange New Worlds is the focus of all the character development, which I was not expecting, but I'm glad is here. Let's see. I'm a little worried. Should he really have used the original Enterprise part as something in engineering? That's like going on 100. Yeah, that's going on a century at this point. I was expecting like a deck plate. This is where construction started on the Enterprise, was right here. Right here, that's where it started. Do you think when they built the NX-01, it had a part of the Space Shuttle Enterprise? Simultaneously, we could actually look this up. I choose to believe that the Space Shuttle Enterprise had a part of the United States military nuclear submarine enterprise, and that Enterprise had a piece of the wooden Starship Enterprise in it. I choose to believe. Even if it never happened, by God, this is Star Trek canon now. This ancient tradition. And also, in the military enterprise, the piece of the wooden bit is a part of a nuclear reactor. Just because. Going on. Yeah, I love geeking out about Archer. I'm always gonna love just mentioning Enterprise. You know, it was a thing that happened. It was pretty important, so let's bring it up. Oh my god, I just realized. They've got all the white lights on. Engineering used to be yellow. I remember seeing this at some point, but that looks a lot better. Still a little cavernous. I mean, I'm not the happiest with most of the interior shots of the this Enterprise, but you know, we've been over that. That's covered ground. I'm not gonna win that battle. We got the bit that was from the trailer that was nice. Yeah, I like the Orion Scientist. There was a lot of good stuff in it. By God, I can't tell you how weird it was, though, to watch a Strange New Worlds episode today, watch the Lower Deck Season 4 announcement for September 7th, and then go watch Lower Decks. Like, look here's Visor Lady. Is that ableist? Probably, but, I mean, she's not supposed to be in Strange New Worlds. Who's this? That's not a member of the crew. What the heck is this guy? Is he new? Critical to Season 4, I bet. Yeah. Let's take a look at our animated Strange New Worlds cast. That was weird to see. Leon is very good. I've just remembered, Spock is not TAS Spock. They should have committed. McMahon, you should have pushed harder for that. I guess TAS Spock is like 60s Spock, you know. This is the 50s. Wait a minute. Is that Ortega's? That one's Ortega's, right? Hang on. I gotta get my sound. Yes. That's Ortega's. That's interesting. Is Ortega's trans? Because, as we said in this episode, somebody, Captain Spock, in the first episode referred to Mr. Ortega's, but they've drawn Ortega's with boobs in this scene. So is Ortega's trans? Or is this that'd be a very weird continuity error. And it also seems like it wouldn't be too hard to fix. Or they could have featured Spock's shallot. Is that his pet, right? Or is that a different part of him? I don't know. That's interesting, though. I wonder if someone made a mistake, though. They either misgendered Ortegas or drew them. Spock used male pronouns in this episode, too. I think they might be non-binary. They could be. It's never come up, which is great. But it's weird because I also have never seen any indication of Ortegas' sex until they've drawn them in 2D. Or they're hallucinating because of these Orion drinks that Ortegas has boobs. Enough about Ortegas' boobs. Captain Pike didn't translate the best into Lower Decks. His hair is not... Yeah, his pet. That's what I thought. That hair's not the greatest. He's the weaker one. I think Anson Mount loved it, though, so let's get a shot of her up. I think the female outfits look a little weird. Oh, let's get a better frame of Una. They look kind of weird in the Lower Decks animated style. I wish I had my uniform. I did pay for 5 to 7 day shipping on my uniforms. I got distracted. Who's that in the background? I don't know. But yeah, Una transferred really well. Is it weird? Okay, is this just me? Did a lot of the actors for Strange New Worlds sound off in this section? Because it almost sounded like when I listen to an audio drama or even in Lower Decks when someone appears in the show, but it's been a decade plus and they sound older. It could be just like the mic quality. I didn't get that with Boimler and Mariner. They sounded like Boimler with Mariner. But some of them I had to go, is that actually Una? Did you buy a uniform specifically for this? Not even sure you mentioned it. Yes, it's what I've been alluding to about the thumbnail. I bought that red Strange New World female uniform so I could, and a badge. I've got the badges. They arrived for... the joke was going to be, I was going to do a live action thumbnail. So I was going to do this pose in the uniform and put that on in the thumbnail. And that was going to be the joke. I didn't buy it just for that because I want the uniforms. But also, I've kind of blown the budget a bit for this month, and I would not have bought them this month otherwise. I also bought a Lower Decks uniform because I don't know, modeled after the Strange New World style, and a Lower Decks badge because I didn't know which way I wanted to do the thumbnail. And I paid, it was like, probably for both uniforms and badges, because I got good badges off eBay. I paid like $200 for the uniforms, and I spent $45 on 5 to 7 day shipping so they would arrive in time. But they took like a month to prep. I still don't even know if they've shipped yet. And they should arrive next week. But even if they had arrived, I didn't know they were going to do this episode, so I wouldn't have done it. Well, I mentioned the uniform because I skipped half the stream, and I think I've heard you mention it at least 3 times. I've been building up. It was going to be so cool. When you got here, and you would have been like, hang on a minute, why is it a picture? And you would have gone, when you were listening to the engine hums, you would have been like, it's a live action thumbnail, and we would have had a laugh, and I was going to make a joke about when David C. donated. I was going to be like, thank you, you've paid for the shipping of that uniform. But alas, it was not to be. The actors went on strike, and so they had... No, that had to have been planned. Because the reason this was released today, I'm assuming, was there was a screening at Comic-Con of this episode. But they wouldn't have... I don't think they would have aired this episode today and brought... thank you for the laughs. They brought the entire schedule like a week forward, because we're still getting a new episode next week. They wouldn't have done that just because the actors went on strike and they need something to show at Comic-Con. Which, full support to the actors, by the way. That's just the reason I had thought, like, they can't do anything. They have panels at Comic-Con where they can't talk about Star Trek. Put this one towards the future uniform. Thank you, David C. You have now covered the cost of 5 to 7 day shipping on my uniforms. I'll do something. I'll do something to... Like, I might probably do the thumbnail retroactively, but when they arrive, I'll arrange something. You were gonna see my new hair for the first time. This is how far I went. Part of why I bought the Lower Decks uniform is I've been thinking of dyeing my hair. And purple, like probably some sort of red to pink to purple shade. And I genuinely considered dyeing my hair Boimler purple specifically to do a live action Boimler thumbnail. Glad I didn't. That'd be a big commitment to have not come out. But I don't know. I was trepidatious on doing purple because everyone in this, like, the YouTube context would look at me and think I'm Boimler. But fashion show. Okay. I bought the dress. I didn't buy pants for the uniform. I don't know how short these uniforms are. I'd happily wear the TOS dress uniform, but the pants were also more expensive, and this is from the waist up. Yeah, they robbed me a bit. Yeah, I'll do something. I'll do something with the uniforms. That is a good young Spock, though. That's very Lower Decks Vulcan. Oh my god, have you seen... I have to show you this. Star Trek TAS 50th. They're doing animated series, like little episodes, for Riker, Quark, and Saru. And you in a mini dress. Look, it looks so good, but it's got these weird forms. On Kazakhstan is where I'm getting them. They look very high quality, but the TOS one has these weird, like, folds that okay, Kazakhstan TOS Starfleet uniform. All right, where is it? There we go. There we go. Hang on. Open a new tab. Look at this. It's very high quality. It's very well done. It looks just like it. But we've got these weird folds that just aren't in the uniforms. I don't understand these folds. Like, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so here we go. So they're doing a TAS Riker. They are doing oh my god, I didn't know this. They're doing a Neelix. They are also doing a Saru. But they're doing a Quark. And when I saw Quark, I had an instant reaction of, oh my god, what have you done? And then went, oh my god, that is a perfect TAS Ferengi. Look at him. You've messed up your Photoshop work. Oh my god, look at this guy. Look at him. Look at how good this animated Quark is. Like, it's awful, but it's exactly what the 70s would have done. I love that animated Quark. I might review these shorts. When are they coming out? Oh, is it just a comic? I thought they were doing shorts. CBS Studios will be producing a series of 5 animated promotional spots coming later 2023. Yes, keep an eye out for those, but look at these. I think these will be fun. No, this won't be the last time we see Sue. I know, this task, I don't know how you nailed it so much. If you've never seen it, there's a guy, there's someone who does, they did Threshold and Best of Both Worlds in the TAS style. Google TAS Next Generation and TS Voyager on YouTube. They're fantastic, but I'm very much looking forward to those. Oh my god, look, his badge is even, like, crooked. I love those. What were we looking up? Why did we... Was it just that? Oh, I remember. So I think I'm actually gonna wrap it up there for the episode, probably. But I wanted to talk about, let me go to my channel for this. Let's talk a little bit about the Lower Decks trailer that just announced. Let's see, YouTube. Here we go. I'm gonna share it in the chat. Another option, you could dress up as a shirtless Spock. I don't think I want to do a shirtless Spock. I don't know if you'll find a big overlap between a male who would wear a mini dress but not do a shirtless outfit. I wasn't gonna do a full review because look, it's more Lower Decks. It'd be reference hunting. There's some fun stuff. There's some things I think it's worth mentioning. It looks like they're actually, the whole premise of this season seems to be like the Lower Deckers proving that they're no longer Lower Deckers, ranking up, which who knows if they'll do it. Lower Decks has a problem with committing to changes. But I like that. I've said it before. We need to see these people develop. Not too much was there. I won't spend too much on this because I know I can literally spend like hours. You don't think that'd be Worf, do you? Oh, no, because he's just died. I don't think Lower Decks can kill Worf. Maybe they will, but somehow Star Trek Picard suggests otherwise. Yeah, I'm just gonna really quickly blitz through this. We finally get more of the Vulcan lady from Wage Duge. Lower Decks have been one of the best things New Trek come up with. Yes. It sways a bit if Lower Decks produces a bad episode, which has happened once, maybe twice. Or Stranger Worlds or Prodigy produce a particularly good one. I'll say the kind of average bar of quality has definitely gone up since Lower Decks premiered, with the non-Lower Deck shows. But it has been a consistent top tier. Anything else? Where's my little frame by frames? I don't recognize this reference. We're gonna... Oh, okay. I don't think I can do that. Here's a weird frame. No comment. Definitely. What is up with you? Look, someone didn't get the memo here. Moving on. Tendi Rutherford being cute. Yeah, Boimler, probably not going to get the promotion, but he's up for promotion. Like, yeah, I love the Lower Decks, I think, more than anyone else, has really built up the idea of the kind of the family. I think more than, like, maybe TNG is the only one who compete. I think Lower Decks may genuinely be able to surpass them. It really feels like a professional crew who also just live together, because that's how a starship works. I would hazard a guess that military people, especially if you served on a ship that didn't have a particularly strict command, might recognize a lot of the kind of day-to-day life in Lower Decks. Where, like, you know, you even have these higher-up officers just, like, they know Boimler, they know, like, these Lower Deckers. There can't be more than, like, 200 people on the ship. And I just love when we see them outside, even though this is like a professional relationship scene, where we kind of see them just hanging out in, like, yeah, these are people who live together. They know each other. But we're not here for that. We're here to reference hunt. You all know Lower Decks is gonna be good. So it looks like we're going to Ferenginar. Oh my god, look at that. Clothed females. We are addressing Rom. Spoilers, if you haven't seen this, I know we're addressing Rom. Oh my god, is that handsome Squidward the Ferengi? Look at this guy. Nice to see handsome Squidward getting some work since SpongeBob. Anything else around here? I was about to say, I don't think... No, Lower Decks doesn't do full nudity. They do censored nudity. Here's we go. So we're going to Orion. There's some, ooh, look, Mariner Tindy, we're mixing things up as well, and that's the one to do, because Boimler's not the one to be racist against Orions, it's when it comes up with Mariner, and we've got these, I don't know, I really would have had Mariner deliver that line, but I guess Boimler went to the 2250s first, so he had to be the one who accidentally was racist. I'm totally shipping Commander Ransom and Boimler. That's not one I've seen before, but I'll have to pay attention. Who was it? Is it you, David C., who always says that, like, Ethan Peck's Spock is hot, or is that another person? I liked, it almost felt like Mariner was directly calling out you and being like, man, I didn't know Spock was this hot when he was young, or whoever did that, whoever it was that said that. But yeah, I mean, this Orion stuff has been some of the best social commentary Lower Decks has done. Maybe even the only. Lower Decks has been great at, like, meta commentary on Starfleet. I don't think it's done too much social commentary other than the Orions, but it's great stuff. And deep social commentary doesn't always gel with commentary. Yeah, here, look. See, we got Ferenginar with the Tower of Commerce, and it's raining. It was you. He is super hot. Yeah, I can see it. He's not my type, but I get it. You've won me over. Congratulations. We've got Badgie. More Badgie. Who knows how much they're going to actually be in here, but I'm not going to say no to more Badgie. Your husband agrees. Well, who are we to argue? I don't know who's been outvoted, because Mariner, you, me, and your husband have all just admitted he's hot, but whoever disagrees is, Del, you've been outvoted. You didn't vote, but you were still outvoted. And I'm American. The did not vote category doesn't get outvoted a whole lot, which reminds me, I've got to vote. Okay. I can see the setup for this joke here. I don't know if you've noticed it yet, but I have noticed the laser that is not pointed at that apple. It's not quite pointed at his crotch either, but I don't know about this. Hang on. Oh, okay. I didn't think you were going to shoot Tindy, but there's the joke. I don't know who this is. For some reason, I get the vibes of recurring character. Cassidy? Or, like, it could be Mariner's grandma. It could be someone else. It's the fact that these three people are older. They've got wrinkles under their eyes. It's some random referencey Romulan era hat. And there's something that gives me a look. Could it be Cassidy? It could also just be some random woman, or, like, it could be Jet's mom. I don't know. Like, but I don't know. For some reason, I see her and get vaguely referencey vibes. I love that we've made Lower Decks a thing. Lower Decks definitely started that. Lower Decks tried to make it a thing. But I wonder if then, I can't remember her name, but the Romulan lady, Romulan? God, it's not unification yet. The Vulcan lady almost seems to be joining the Lower Decker crew. Like, this is like, yay, look, she's joining us. Lower Decks, Look, even Boimler's finally accepted it. Boimler's accepted that this is the Lower Decks. This guy, he's like, look at those guys. I remember when I was a Lower Decker. Troy's mom in the red gown. Ooh. Well, no, you wouldn't. You couldn't recast Roxana. You couldn't. You can't. Like, her whole thing is no, you can't. Lower Decks is not one to recast recurring. Lower Decks is the one who brought back the original Borg Queen, aren't they? Like, it was someone else for something, and then Lower Decks brought her back. Am I crazy? Well, who had it? Because Picard had the Borg Queen, but later. Season 2! That's right. Season 2 had a different Borg Queen. Then Lower Decks had the original. Isn't that it? But yeah, Lower Decks is not one to recast. They've got a big enough backlog. But maybe. I wonder, has Roxana canonically died yet? Like, has Troy mentioned anything? The Vulcan is Talin, thank you. Of course, I knew it started with a T and an apostrophe, because it was a Vulcan woman. But, yeah. Orions. Okay, Star Trek, you want a trans storyline that's subtle? Give me a Vulcan female whose name doesn't start with T apostrophe. Like, give me a slightly androgynous looking Vulcan, give me that. That's an easy do it. It's a bit weird that we only have, like, not exclusively, but basically every Vulcan female is to something. We've got a Raven. I didn't actually catch this. Someone in the YouTube comments got this. They are on Voyager. Oh, look, see, you got the Biomed pack. I've just realized it's a museum. That's why you've got the Tom Paris mannequin. But they are on the USS Voyager right now. So I wonder if we're going to the same Starfleet museum we were at before. So we might actually see some of the other older ships. That would be fun. Character bio. Talin is influenced by intuition. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah. I wonder if we'll get some other, like, are we finally gonna get, okay, one of two things is gonna happen in the Voyager episode. Either Captain Kim, some reference to a promotion that he eventually gets, or there is going to be explicit confirmation that Harry Kim is still an ensign. There is no way we are going to get to a Voyager reference without one of those two. Or he's like an honorary lower deckers, or even better, he's not even honorary. Like, he's just, I don't know, content in his ensign position. Here's the bit where, oh wait, I undid that. Come on. Here's the bit where,
nothing compared to, that Pike thing we aren't supposed to talk about.
Yeah, that thing, I think these are released simultaneously. Oh, I almost forgot, you got Alan Moraine, which I kind of hope Lower Decks went so far as to get the original voice actor. Because, I don't know. But yeah, you can't, friendly reminder that the Alan Moraine hopscotch scene is one of the few Deep Space Nine frames that have had the dedicated care and attention to be properly upscaled or properly remastered into HD like TNG. He's totally an ensign. I don't know. We canonized O'Brien as the most important man in Starfleet history. Lower Decks has a track record of giving the underappreciated or, like, punching bags their moment, it depends. I don't know. I could see it either way, because it's funny if he's still an ensign. Or, like, in this, you know what, actually, here's having your cake and eating it, too. You have Harry Kim in that episode, and he's an ensign, but it's the episode where he gets promoted to lieutenant. That's what you do. Like, what you do is the reason they're on Voyager is the Cerritos is tasked for preparing Voyager for Harry Kim's promotion ceremony. And also he's like 2 days from retirement. I don't know. Now, I will say, as much as I love that idea, Harry Kim was supposed to be in Picard, season 3. And I think they filmed it, but it got cut for time. I'm not 100% on that. But it does mean I think Picard would promote him. No question, Picard would make him at least a captain. And if Picard... Well, that's the future. Lower Decks could have him be an ensign, but I feel like Picard might have robbed us of that joke. But that's what I would do. There's an episode of Lower Decks that is Harry Kim's promotion day. Like, he finally gets to be a lieutenant. You could even, Matt, because you're Lower Decks, tie that into the theme, where maybe the Lower Deckers are afraid they'll be an ensign forever, and Harry Kim is like some sort of horror story of never moving up in the ranks. Oh my god, this is so mean. But we give him his promotion. You know, like, if Garrett Wang would be down, like, look, as we all know, Garrett Wang is the sexiest man in the world. Like, this has just been proven. That's why he got to stay on Voyager. But, you know, he's allowed to not be promoted, being the sexiest man in the world. I hope someone knows that reference. Did you know that? When they got rid of Kess, Harry Kim was actually on the chopping block, but Garrett Wang won like a top 10 sexiest men in Hollywood award, and so they kept him on Voyager, which is always interesting to me. Because don't get me wrong, like, he's not I never would have thought about his looks, but also I never would have thought about his looks. He doesn't strike me as top 10 sexiest men in Hollywood. Also, I hope that didn't stream something. Hide it, come on. But yeah, I, for one, am excited for proper, you know, we need Alan Moraine. He's also holding the Beta Z marriage Quark face thing. Anyone know Quark face thing? But yeah, I mean, Lower Decks, I'm always excited for more Lower Decks. It's an incredibly solid series, and I have complete faith in it. Did I stream anything I wasn't supposed to? No, good. And now we just hope that Paramount doesn't remove the Lower Decks episode, because it was accidentally released. But yeah, I had great fun. And yeah, you all can look forward to me in the Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks uniforms at some point. I will say, the uniform I bought for Strange New Worlds, very high quality. Well, it looked like it, at least. I'm actually impressed with it. But no ranks. Didn't have any ranks. Like, I could have bought a Commander's yellow uniform, but there were no rank insignias on the sleeves. I was like, what the heck, Kazakan? Like, you know, I'll have to modify it at some point. But yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I'm glad we got it. I had fun. I'm glad people were here for it. I thought it would be just me because of what it is. Like, you had, how did you watch this? Did you watch the episode before me? Like, I'm crazy. I want to check something, actually, because I messaged the buffer time people. Oh, yeah, they also, the main buffer time guy, also is like, this is not what I wanted to do. I had other plans for the weekend. That's what they're talking about in spoilers. Yeah, I don't know. Like, was this announced? When was this announced? Because it just kind of, like, happened. Huh. Wow. Yeah, that was good. I mean, it was fun. You know, it was like the Five Doctors fan service, like some nice mixes. Not all of it landed for me, but, you know, we had a fun... It's the Lower Decks Stranger Worlds crossover. It was some fun, like, kind of empty crossover work, but, like, Stranger Worlds is typical above and beyond kind of character work and development. Yeah, 7 p.m. That right when you knew it was coming out. Then I didn't. I happened to stumble upon it was coming out at 7 Eastern. And I went, hang on, it's almost 5 now. Really? Is this right? But yeah, I that was real good. I had fun. I think it was a successful crossover episode. You know, maybe we'll do more. That'll be interesting. It'll be kind of odd. Odd. It'd be like a new trope almost of like weird time travel to meet the other series. I don't think that's something we've ever done. Yeah, there's never been. Oh, actually, here's a little thing that bothered me. And when they were talking about Hoshi, they were like, she spoke so many languages. They did a lot of stuff in the past tense. I'm like, she's not dead. depending on how you want to define canon, she's canonically alive. She gets murdered in... Oh, wait, hang on. No, she is dead. She got murdered a while ago. When did she... Hang on. Nope. Investigate time. When did Hoshi Sato get murdered by TOS Thanos? I also know a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about, and so I'm delighting in speaking like this. Star Trek Hoshi Sato... No, I don't want to go through Hoshi. Unless you list a death date. I think Memory Alpha considers it canonical. Revived by Organian... Wait, hang on. Organians were a race of powerful and Wait. Hoshi, what have I missed? What? Okay. Hoshi Sato died in 2154. But was revived by Organians. Okay, return home. Some months after Enterprise was returned to Earth, Sato was infected by silicon-based virus while part of a landing party on the planet's surface, looking for salvage among Klingon waste. While quarantined in the decontamination chamber in a delirious state, she displayed skill in decrypting... Initially, Sato died due to the What? Oh, I remember. I think. Yes. I forgot those were Organians. Sorry, that actually is just an episode of Enterprise. Hoshi Sato, according to a graphic that never made it on screen, so is technically non-canon, but was there on filming day. Shakespeare guy. Star Trek TOS? Shakespeare? The Conscience of the King, thank you. There's the guy, who was basically Thanos before Thanos. And he killed, like, half the people on his planet. He was a governor, there was a food crisis, and his solution was to murder half the people on the planet. And according to a thing that was made for In a Mirror Darkly on Hoshi Sato's bio, Hoshi died as part of the half of that colony. But that happened before the episode. He seized control of a doomed Earth colony, Tharsis 4, in 2246, which is going to be before Strange New Worlds in the 2250s. So, yes. Unused material for Hoshi Sato's bio stated that she and her family were among the victims of Tarthus 4. So yes, if you want to go with the semi-canon, she is dead. So never mind. Well done, Strange New Worlds. You remembered she died. Maybe. Did we canonize that now then? Like Hoshi Sato's canonically dead? I'd written a quick comment on the previous video you did to let you know that it was going to be on Paramount tonight. Thank you. It was a little slow, or rather I didn't get to it fast enough. But I'm glad I spotted it because I've got stuff to do tomorrow. But yeah, you can look forward to a uniform fashion show at some point. I've got the badges. They're really good. They're the... I can't remember who did them, but like for Discovery Season 2, someone made these really high-quality badges that, like official, that are really hard to come by, good badges. Like, I'm really going to struggle for the other series, except TNG, and I managed to nab those. But I'm probably going to stock up on uniforms going forward, because I do want them. Best of dress, worst of dress, we were just talking about you. This episode canonized a ton of school stuff like Trelane being Q. I caught that. That to me was more of a handed, like, did they say, Mariner's line, was it they had more of a Trelane thing, or he had more of a Trelane thing? So did it say Trelane was actually the Q we know? Did it suggest that the Trelane were like proto-Q, which is kind of what a lot of people thought, back when they still needed technology for their omnipotence. That's how I kind of like to view it, is that Trelane was the Q species before they were the Q, essentially. You know, they were learning mastery over the universe, because we know the Q used to be like humanity. But Yeah, Trelane is just from a time where the Q still needed technology. But I didn't quite catch the line. It was either he has a Q thing or they have a Q thing. I didn't catch a whole lot of other things that were canonized. I did like the joke, though. Have you noticed their references are unusually specific? Which was a fun joke and a little jab. But it's those lighthearted things, you know. I think, though, we were in the process of wrapping it up. It's a shame. I was really looking forward to the live-action thumbnail. I was gonna, like... It was gonna be all real nice. It was gonna be cool, but I guess we'll have to maybe retroactively. You know what I'll do? When I get the uniforms, I'll make the live action thumbnail, and then I can show it in the live stream, and I'll just change it after the fact. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Also, because I probably need those $40 for groceries. There was also a convention this month, and I may have spent more money at the convention than I did supporting Alex this month, which is, you know, a lot. So yes, thank you all. Thank you, David C., for paying for my shipping or my groceries, depending on how you want to look at it. It is very much appreciated. And yeah, we should be back to those noon streams. Well, it's Saturday noon PST. It's when I usually do it. September 7th will be more Lower Decks. In the meantime, let me check. We will probably do... what are we talking about? We'll probably do more TOS. Just going through our watch through until September. Because there'll be a 1, 2, 3, 4... 3-week gap. That's actually not a lot. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We will probably, after Lower Decks... Okay, Manor said they going on. We will probably do the Doctor Who 60th Anniversaries is review. The last Lower Decks review will be November 11th, and Doctor Who's 60th Anniversary is November 23rd. There are 3 Doctor Who specials. I don't know when they will be, other than presumably one on the 23rd and November. But I might experiment with that. We'll see. I think Russell T Davies very much does the kind of storytelling Strange New Worlds is that I find hard to review. But I'd like not to be dependent on Paramount's success as a company. But... I don't know. I also want to get back into those normal videos. I know I haven't done them in a while. I have the Jubayar Eagle Moss video, or Eagle Moss model right there. I just hit the mic with, and the Caretaker away. The Gold Enterprise E, I'll try and get back into those. More Game Rant, and I want to do another big video. How fast does Starfleet produce starships, I was thinking about. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I do want to get back into that. I just haven't been in the mood to do a recording. I want that backlog. Thank you for the great streams. Thank you for coming along. I also need filler, because between Lower Decks and Discovery, there's probably like a year. So I do actually need to do something. Maybe just Doctor Who, Season 14. Maybe the Orville. Maybe we'll just do the watch-alongs. I don't know what we're gonna do. But yeah, actually, here we go. Let's do a check. What's next episode? Because we've only got 3 left. Star Trek Memory Alpha. 3 God. I don't know if you saw, but Raffi's actress did a video recently. I actually haven't seen it, but where she kind of campaigned for longer episodes, like for actor security, essentially. If you're a big name with constant projects lined up, 10 episodes doesn't matter, you know? But for the vast majority of actors, it's a problem. I don't think we're ever going to get the days of like 26 seasons an episode, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I kind of hope this strike from a a viewer standpoint, kind of starts bringing us back to lower the per episode budget a bit, and especially for Star Trek, but bring us back to more like a 13 to 18 range. That's what Doctor Who was with like the 9th, 10th, maybe even some of the 11th Doctors. I think that works real well for episodic. In Discovery, early Discovery did that. As much as it wasn't good, early Discovery has a pretty good balance of like their serialized thing and random episodes. 13 to 15 episodes would give us plenty of time to see these characters. Like, we would have had time to see a more emotional Spock because of his relationship with Chapel. We'd have time to explore some of these other things. But still have these overarching, like, Klingon politic arcs or Gorn arcs or whatever you want to do. Because, like, we haven't gotten enough Carol Kane. We still haven't got a proper Ortega's episode, which is criminal. Hang on, I'm on Memory Alpha. I'm just going to look. Ortega's. I think I've checked this before. I don't know how reliable Memory Alpha is because I think they weren't great handling Adira's page. But yeah, Memory Alpha doesn't list a sex for Ortega's. Or a gender for Ortega's, for that matter. But, like, yeah, some more time would be great, and I think that 13 to 15 range seems reasonable. Like, I don't know why we couldn't be like television was 15, 20 years ago in episode length, because it was a good production-wise, too. Like, 11th Doctor, late 10th Doctor stuff, you know, it's not what we have today, but it's still pretty good, and we've only gotten cheaper special effects, so I don't know, we'll have to see. We probably won't get Star Trek for a while, with the actors and writers on strike, unless someone picks up Prodigy. Hopefully Paramount can weather the storm, but we'll see. Best of Trek, worst of Trek, Buffer Time wants to do Michelle Barrett, The Good, The Bad, and The Fabulous sometime soon if you want to join. Send me more details. I might. That's an interesting topic. I'm not sure what it would be, but oh yeah, I'll probably do Buffer Time stuff when there are no new episodes. I don't do it now because I do these reviews, and unless there's more I have to say, there's not really much of a point of me being there. But yeah, there'll be Buffer Time stuff, I'm sure. Best Dressed Worst of Trek, will Pike die before the end of the season? Die? Well, no, because he's got to make it to TOS. Like, Pike can't die. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're getting at. Oh, God, I forgot why I was on Memory Alpha. Star Trek Lower Decks Memory Alpha. Boom. Wait, Lower Decks has a season 5 confirmed? I did not know that. I went to the wrong thing. God damn it. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Memory Alpha. Strange New Worlds. God damn it. Sorry, I'm failing to use the internet. I meant end up in the chair. Oh no. Oh, I see what you mean. No, that accident happened during TOS. Like, because the Menagerie, I think it was like a month ago, that, because it was all over Subspace Chatter. There's that line that, like, it's been all over the fleet, is Pike had been in an accident. And he said before in season 1 it was like a decade away. If Pike ends up in the chair, it'll be the last season, and it'll be a flash forward. He just can't. And I don't... Look, Stranger Worlds plays around with the timeline. I don't think it plays around that much. Because that would be breaking its own internal consistency. Which is something Stranger Worlds hasn't really done before. Under the Cloak of War. This'll be a Gorn thing, isn't it? No episode synopsis, which I really like. I like getting these titles. But yeah, we'll lead into the Gorn, which is interesting because they've still got to go to the past. Or maybe that's this episode. It is a parallel Earth thing, and that big ship from the trailer is a Gorn ship. I hope we don't have 3 episodes of Gorn War. When you have a 10-episode season, 30% of it dedicated to the Gorn War would not make me a happy person. This could also be the Cold War. This could be some alien war. This could be something that thematically is gonna be interesting. Like, the characters are gonna go through something that's gonna be interesting for the Gorn War at the finale. Or the Gorn conflict, whatever we're gonna have. Under the Cloak of War. I don't know. I might have to stab a guess that it's the one where they go to what looks like the Earth's past, but that's just because there are only so many episodes. We'll see. I don't know. But I've been going too long. I can feel my voice going. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you all. Well, thank you, David, for paying for the shipping cost of my uniforms. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next